Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pitch Please, the show where we talk about movies, good and bad, and we talk about either what we liked about them or what we didn't like and why, and then we'll pitch to you either a version that we would do of that movie or the sequel that we want to see. I am your co-host, Alex.
I'm your other host, Troy.
Yeah.
And so we're both filmmakers, and I'm a film teacher, and we've worked on a lot of scripts, seen a lot of scripts, and so we're going to spend the majority of our time not talking about the movie completely, but more along the story parts. And what we'll do is we'll find spots where there's some problems with it. We'll talk about ways to fix it, and then we'll also talk about things we like. These are just opinions. They're not laws. We're always proud of filmmakers for making a movie for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the gist of it.
Yeah, if you like movies, this is the place to be because we love them, and we'll talk them off, talk your ear off about them.
Right. And then make sure you like and subscribe and share this with your friends if you're into movies, into script writing, storytelling, and things like that.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out any of our earlier episodes, go check those out. Those are pretty good. Available on YouTube, Spotify, and YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, YouTube and Spotify.
All right, so without further ado, episode 3 of Pitch, Please.
This episode, we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
This was produced by Kevin Feige, Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, and Lauren Donner, directed by Sean Levy. Screenplay was by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, Zeb Wells, and Sean Levy. Cinematography was by George Richmond, editing by Shane Reed and Dean Zimmerman, production design by Ray Chan. And it starred Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Emma Corrin, and Matthew McFadden. The budget for this movie came in at around $200 million, released back in July 26th of 2024. And it grossed domestically $637 million so far. And worldwide is about $1.34 billion. This was a sequel, not an original. This is part 3.
Yeah, part 3 of the Deadpool series trilogy now.
Yeah, trilogy, right on.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, the synopsis, if you haven't seen the movie yet, is in 2018, after using Cable's time travel device to save his girlfriend Vanessa, Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, travels to Earth 616, hoping to join the Avengers, but is rejected. 6 years later, having broken up with Vanessa and retired from being Deadpool, Wade is working as a used car salesman with his friend Peter Wisdom. His life takes a turn when the Time Variance Authority, or TVA, captures him, offering him a new future on Earth 616, but revealing that his timeline is deteriorating due to the death of his anchor being, Logan. Wade attempts to rescue Logan, but when that fails, he begins searching the multiverse for a variant of Logan to save his timeline. Wade returns to the TVA with a Logan variant, but is told that an anchor being cannot be replaced. After being sent to the Void, Wade and Logan ally with a resistance group led by Laura, Elektra, Blade, and Gambit to fight the TVA's Cassandra Nova. After a series of battles, Wade and Logan manage to destroy the Time Ripper device, killing Cassandra in the process. And Paradox, who is from the TVA, is arrested, and the TVA prevents Earth 10005 from collapsing. While Logan cannot change his own history, he chooses to stay in Wade's world, and Wade reconciles with Vanessa with Logan's encouragement, invites him to meet his friends, marking a new chapter for both of them.
What was your overall take and feel for this movie?
Overall, I liked it. The thing I've been saying is it was probably the best Marvel movie I've seen in a minute since the last Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the other 2 Deadpools, it's my least favorite Deadpool.
I would agree with that too. I really liked the other 2 Deadpool movies. I thought they were fun. They were new, inventive. You know, they really broke the mold, so to speak, on how you can make movies, comedies, and action, and actually, a superhero movie.
Right.
And I really feel like this one, since, from my point of view, I feel like since Disney got a hold of it, it was Disneyfied to an extent. And I know that was a big deal where Reynolds was like, hey, we want to make this our own movie, and Levy was like, we're gonna make this our own movie and do what we want to do. But I still feel like this actually had some Disney aspects shoved into it that I didn't care for as much. But I did like the movie overall. I thought it was entertaining. I did. I thought it was really entertaining.
No, it was highly entertaining. Again, it keeps the classic elements of Deadpool, breaks the fourth wall all the time. Lots of good comedy. The fights were really fun, really gory, of course, but a lot of fun. I mean, they did some really creative fights with that. And again, overall entertainment wise, it was highly entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we'll talk about this as it goes on, but yeah, just the character Deadpool felt a lot different than the original two. But yeah, I agree with you. I still kind of liked it. And again, compared to what Disney and Marvel has been making lately, this is definitely their best one in a long while.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Starting off with, I have a little constructive here because in the first two Deadpool movies, he was a business owner, like he was a gun for hire, so to speak, and he was in charge of his own life. He really didn't play by anybody's rules. He had some sidekicks because he wanted them. Of course, most of them just died, right?
Right, yeah, no,
Which was fun.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. And so in this movie, though, we find him looking for a job, wanting to be a part of the Avengers, to give meaning to his life. And in the other previous movies, the meaning to his life was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he never, and he wanted people to think well of him. He wanted to have almost like a legacy. He's like, I wanna do something worthwhile and be perceived as good. And then in the other movies, he didn't care. Like Deadpool doesn't care what people think about him, except for his girlfriend. That's his whole world. So I just thought it was kind of not really his character for him to come in, do a job interview because he wanted to feel like he was adding to society and being perceived as somebody helpful.
Yeah, he felt like he wanted to matter, and I think that's what he straight up says to Happy, like in the beginning. And yeah, to me, and that was like a recurring theme throughout the movie, was just this kind of somber, depressed Deadpool, and like it felt like that was a through line through the whole movie, like underneath all like the comedy quips and all that stuff. And to me, it just it made him feel wrong.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like Deadpool.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of hard to watch at times because I was like, wait, this isn't as funny as I was hoping for, and this doesn't seem like the right Deadpool.
Yeah, it reminded me of Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber, right before the turn into Act 2, when he tells Harry, he's like, I'm sick and tired of being nobody, and I'm sick and tired of having nobody, right? And then Harry goes, all right, Lloyd, Aspen it is. And when we started in the second half, I felt like this was almost like a Lloyd Christmas moment of, I just want to be someone and I want to have value. And we're like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll do that for sure.
Yeah. Well, something I did like, which again, this is something they kept from all the Deadpool movies. I know it's a part of the comic book character, but the meta commentary, always a ton of fun. Like, I think this meta commentary was really fun. They ripped on Disney and Marvel a lot, which I really liked too.
Yeah.
Made fun of the multiverse, things like that, and it just, I don't know. It was a really good, well done meta commentary in this one, as always with the Deadpool movies. But I really enjoyed it, and I think they nailed it once again.
Ryan Reynolds has a gift. He can only be Ryan Reynolds, and nobody else can be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And so for him to be a writer on this movie is basically just because he just makes up what he's saying on the spot, but it's so good.
Right.
And it's so funny. I don't know if he could be any different than that, and I like him the way he is. I like that the way he portrays Deadpool and the lines he goes through, the different variations of the ripping on things. So I thought that worked out.
Yeah, to me, Ryan Reynolds is kind of like Robert Downey Jr. It's like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He is Tony Stark. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He is Wade Wilson. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really picture anyone else being, that character. And why would you want to? Yeah, no, I mean, he's made it so iconic and so loved by people that, maybe didn't even know the character in the first place. Cogs, I mean, $1.3 billion worldwide is pretty apparent that people really, really like Deadpool now, which is really awesome for him.
And in the same regard, I feel like we're fawning here, but that's
Little bit,
okay.
yeah.
A little bit. But in the same regard, like Hugh Jackman, he is Wolverine. I mean, the guy
yeah.
has done what? So many Wolverine movies. He's so good, and he's so enjoyable to watch, and just to be able to see him like get back into fitness and you know, I don't know how old he's in his late 50s, I think. I don't know.
Probably something like that. And I mean, the dude's jacked and he's still doing Wolverine. Seems just fine.
Like, and he's gonna do it till he's 90, just like they were saying. So yeah, a lot of positives there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, too, going from Logan, if you haven't seen Logan, that's a great one. Like, it was such a different Wolverine for Hugh Jackman to play in Deadpool and Wolverine. And it was fun because, you know, Logan was a serious drama. And this was like, he still got to play some serious drama. He had a really good arc. Wolverine has this whole redemption arc that I think it was really fun. And I liked seeing that through the movie. And I think, again, Hugh Jackman being Hugh Jackman, pull it off and made it great. But then he also got to be funny and fighting with Deadpool and just like he gets his quips in and stuff like that. And it was a fun Wolverine to watch. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the fact that Hugh Jackman actually came back to do it.
Hey,
So, yeah.
absolutely. So the idea of the TVA, the idea of the TVA was something that I did not appreciate. I didn't really like the TVA, and I felt that there was a Disneyfication from my point of view, that Disney said, all right, we got this, but now you got to do some Disney stuff, get the multiverse thing going. And so shoving the whole constraint into using the TVA as the constraint, it bothered me a lot, and I feel like maybe this was forced on them. So I think that if it was forced on them, I feel like they did a good job working with that constraint.
Yeah, I agree.
If it was chosen, I would feel like, seriously? Because in the last movie, you had a time machine from Cable, and now you're doing this TVA thing, and I do not like the TVA.
Yeah, well, something to just going to the time travel device, the time travel watch that you're talking about, something they didn't explain to me, and maybe it's explained in the comics, I just don't know, is the time travel device, I thought only allowed you to jump through time. And Deadpool is in, you know, his universe, which is like 10,005.
6, I think.
10,005,
Oh, 5.
I think. And then he jumps over to talk to Happy to become an Avenger in the sacred timeline, as they call it, in universe 616. Where do they explain how the time travel device... 565?
565 is what I have.
565. Oh, okay.
Either way.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, they don't explain how he jumps back and forth between these multiverses. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
they establish the multiverse thing, and they establish he can jump through time. Why does that allow him to travel through the multiverse? To me, that got kind of convoluted, and it wasn't explained.
Well, he didn't have one of those gadgets, did he? The TVA gadgets, did he?
No, not at first. Not when he's, like, interviewing with Happy.
Yeah, that was a tricky one for sure.
It was 616.
Oh, 616. All right.
Is the sacred timeline.
Sacred timeline. Well, the thing too is that he you know, the turning point, or the inciting is like, he tells, Paradox tells him, you can finally matter if you do this. And there's no period of debate. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And then, but he doesn't know what they want him to do. And then he has to go find a living Wolverine. And the concept of the multiverse, again, this is, I don't like the TVA. I don't like the multiverse. I think it's a terrible story. Crutch, yes. And the idea that, okay, timelines are happening and they have an anchor being, and if the anchor being dies, then the timeline ends. Basically saying that universes are evaporating because there's one being in that whole universe that lives and dies, and then everyone else is going to die because of it, is really not good.
Right, because when you think about it for, like, the sacred timeline, that's supposed to be, like, all these timelines, and maybe it's not. Maybe they explain it I know Loki season 2 deals a lot with that. We haven't seen that, so
Yeah.
maybe they do explain how the sacred timeline might be different, and then they've got these branching things. But you'd think like an anchor being in the sacred timeline would be like Tony Stark, Captain America, like Thor, like these big characters, and then Tony dies in Endgame.
Yeah.
Cap gets old and I believe dies too later on, like not long after that. It's like one baby like the anchor beings, and now is the sacred timeline evaporating, stuff like that. Like to me, it's convoluted and it doesn't follow its own logic if you go too far into it.
Right, and does a whole universe start for millions and billions of years waiting for this one anchor being, and then
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It was a weird choice, and I don't think it was explained to the best it
Yeah.
could be. Like
Yeah. Let's see here.
we did talk about in I think our first or second episode, good exposition. How good exposition is, very hard to do first and foremost, in that it's all about, giving snippets of information that are necessary, when it arises, when the time comes. And I thought they started doing that in Deadpool Wolverine. Like when he first gets brought in by the time variants, they kind of had back and forth with him and Paradox talking about the exposition of the story, the setup. But it would always kind of end with Deadpool kind of quipping and joking. And at first I was like, okay, this is fun. But then it just kept going. And then it just turned to a gigantic exposition dump, most of which I couldn't really remember after that. And to me, it's like they had a great setup to do good exposition, and then they overplayed their hand and they just started dumping, and it just kind of wrecked it for me.
Yeah, definitely the walk and talk exposition model is overplayed, and it's just a crutch. Let's walk and talk while I explain all this to you. No, stop! Don't do that. Find more creative and interesting ways, like when we talk about in Joker. He starts, Arthur Fleck starts laughing uncontrollably in this really tense and awkward moment, and he hands a card to a woman that explains his health condition. Right. That is how you do exposition.
Right, because they don't go into it, they don't dive into it. It's just a one and done thing. Move on with the story.
Right.
This one, Paradox is telling him, all about the Time Ripper and how, like timelines disappear and how Deadpool's gonna work for him and help, clip the timelines and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, we get it. That should come up later, and that could be big reveals later of like, okay, maybe Deadpool starts working for the TVA and he clips a few timelines, and he could have some comedic bits of killing a bunch of people and doing stuff, and then finds out later like, oh, maybe this isn't the best thing in the world, and that could become the internal struggle that changes it. But instead they're just throwing up all their information all at once. It's exhausting.
It is, and it's hard, and it's hard to process too. It's like sitting in a lecture, and you're here to be entertained by a movie.
You're just trying to figure out, like what is important, what do I need to remember, and you're supposed to remember all of it to some degree, but it's just too much sometimes, way too much.
And we both agree that the opening scene with him in the body of Wolverine, that fight scene was really great, very clever, very creative, classic Deadpool opener. A lot of fun, killing people with
So much.
adamantium-ized bones, so to speak.
Yeah, just the Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, and figuring out very creative ways while dancing to Bye Bye Bye.
Yeah.
Glorious.
And I did like the fact that they were killing TVA, because I don't like the TVA.
Agree. No, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Kill them all, right? Just wipe them all out.
Also really liked the search for Wolverines montage. So we got to see all these different variants of Wolverine, all from different comic book things.
It was a fun idea and a fun montage for sure.
It was great, and I kind of wish they had more involved with that.
Yeah.
Because, they had Calorine, Henry Cavill as just the Wolverine that everyone was thinking about. They had short Wolverine fighting the Hulk. Like, again, there's another crossover that they could have shown a little more rather than just a reflection. And the bones, like, there's just a lot of this fun stuff that, again, I thought was really well done.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun and well done for sure. It would have been nice. I mean, he could have actually, what they could have done is they could have grabbed 5 or 6 Wolverines from 5 or 6 timelines, and then they would have been killed off in different and various ways by Cassandra, and that could have been really funny because the thing is, or they all could have fought Wade or each other because the large portion of the movie is fight scenes and a huge chunk is a fight scene between Deadpool and Wolverine, which is fun.
Yeah.
But it would have been really fun if there's 5 or 6 Wolverines and a Deadpool fighting each other. Wouldn't that be fun?
Right. Oh, I was thinking about this just now too. Like they could have added in, what if other variants of Deadpools were doing the same thing this Deadpool was doing, and they're going around looking for Wolverines, and so maybe Deadpool runs into other Deadpools looking for other Wolverines,
And he has to fight them?
and he fights them and kills her or something like, no, this one's mine, no, this one's mine, and they, fight and kill each other. Like that could have added a whole extra layer and just been a lot of extra fun action comedy.
That could have been the movie.
That could have been the movie.
Like,
honestly.
great. I would have watched that movie and been very satisfied.
Hilarious. What it would have been about, I'm not sure. But it would have been a lot of fun to see a bunch of Deadpools fighting and killing a bunch of Wolverines and then each other.
Yeah, it would have been about fun.
It would have been just a murder fest.
So a little bit, yeah. So I mean, I think it was a good setup, but I think again they could have done more with that for sure.
Oh yeah. So something I felt like was a little bit of a missed mark with this one that like made it not seem like the first two Deadpool Wolverines. It was too clean. Something to me about a lot of Marvel movies is because of the CGI, because of
the clean,
stuff.
the look.
Yeah, everything looks clean. Like everything looks CGI, everything is made in a green or blue box.
It's like plastic.
And so everything looks fake. Like even the dirt looks fake.
That is true.
And that was the beauty about like the first two Deadpools. Like I think I looked it up, the budget for like the first Deadpool was like 58 million. And then the second one was like 110 million or something like that. And from what I remember hearing, they did their best to make it kind of indie style, it's like they had, they didn't have as much money as a typical superhero movie, so they did do a lot of practical effects. They had a lot of production design and stuff like that. Like they didn't do as much CGI. And here, because they were bought by Disney, in my opinion, is they just kind of went full blown Disney, did a bunch of CGI, and it just made it look really fake and really Marvel Disney, way too clean, and it's like nothing's ever that clean unless it's generated in a computer.
Right.
And so for me, that kind of made it again feel not like the typical Deadpool.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't very gritty.
No.
No, it was very Marvel-y for sure. For sure. Yeah, right. So they had some cool things in here. Cassandra. Sometimes we get real tired of seeing the tough girl boss who is physically overpowering, 350-pound guys of pure muscle. And her character was great because she was not a physical force. She was a telekinetic force. It was so fun. And the actress
Emma Corrin.
Emma Corrin, yeah, she did a great job. And I think that storytelling wise, I thought that worked out really well. Someone who was really overpowered, so to speak, who, and she was laid back. Mm-hmm. The character was never, and I don't think ever really got angry. And she could just play with her prey, so to speak, just moving her hands up and down and doing this, sticking her fingers through their head.
It's kind of like a cat.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really great choice for the antagonist in terms of, you don't have to have this, a big tough character with, like big tough guy character, or over like a strong female character, but just a female character that could just control anything and everybody. And
I mean, that would be a strong female character, just like in a very well explained sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like again, it follows a good story logic. It's she's got these crazy powers and like no one can beat her, and she knows it.
And then she's comfortable.
She's just unfazed by anyone because she knows, hey, I can basically I can pull your skin out and turn you inside out if I wanted to. Like that's what I can do. And so yeah, nothing phases her, and why would she get angry? You just kill people on a whim.
Yeah, and then the story beat of with the bait and switch.
Oh yes. So one of my favorites, and I think yours too, is Chris Evans' cameo. Absolutely glorious. You think he's going to come in as Captain America. We're led to believe he's going to be Captain America. Johnny Flame instead. Love that so much. That was really such a funny bit. We get to see a different side of Chris Evans, not the clean cut Captain America, but kind of the rough and tumble, cussing and swearing Johnny Storm. It was a great bait and switch. And again, all the little cameos that they had in there too was a lot of fun. The fact that they had access to these characters to do cameos was a lot of fun. Channing Tatum as Gambit was great.
Yeah.
Bringing back Elektra, Blade, like all those people, Laura from Logan, like it was just a lot of fun to see. And then all the villains that they fight too, you know, Juggernaut, the frog guy, I don't even remember it. Where he's like all these different characters that they pulled in. I really did enjoy that. It was fun to see cameos. And then these characters killing each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was fun that they brought them all in, and it could have been cheesy. It could have been really forced, but it was fun. I think that, you know, story-wise, I think that was a fun way to do it. And I know that they're going for a fun movie, which is great.
Yeah.
And that was great to see all those characters in there.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't like was Paradox. The character Paradox. To me, he wanted to be the bad guy, which to me was weird because like he's a bad guy, and a good storytelling thing to do is if you have a bad guy, no one ever thinks of themselves as the bad guy, and so you want to have a way that that person can justify doing horrible things, thinking that they're doing good, and I think they tried to do that with him. I just didn't think it was done very well. Just felt really over the top and kind of cheesy. You know, like Bond villain, like, I am Paradox, I'm going to destroy all these extra timelines because I can, and I'm doing good. And it's like, oh, you just sound like you want to be the bad guy.
So with a name like Paradox, there was nothing paradoxical about him. Yeah. He was pretty straightforward. And I thought that, like you're saying, you know, I just thought it was lazy because he wanted to trim all the timelines because he didn't want to sit around and watch them go out over a long period of time. So basically, he wants to be a bad guy because he's lazy. He's bad at his job. He doesn't want to do his job. And so he wants to kill all these people and universes.
Right.
Because he's just bored. He doesn't want to sit around. I mean, that's not a very good objective character.
Yeah, it doesn't explain too. It's like, you know, if you could say something like, I want to trim these timelines so that new timelines can come up and we can get new universes, like, that would have made more sense. It's like, okay, you don't want to wait around for thousands of years. It's like, you've got new universes that could happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, set them in. It's like, if you just keep trimming branches, eventually you're just left with, you know, one big stick that has no branches, and like, that's not really a tree. That's just
the sacred timeline.
Stick out of the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they could have even done a thing story-wise where they could have even just made it a simple revenge thing. Maybe his timeline got trimmed and he wanted to get revenge on somebody else.
Yeah.
Or on maybe he wanted to sabotage the whole TVA. I mean, that would have been a way more compelling character objective. Like, Cassandra's trying to sabotage all the timelines, so there's only the sacred timeline.
No, the void.
So there's only the void.
Yeah.
Right. And Paradox is trying to wipe out all these timelines as a form of revenge.
Yeah, that could be interesting. That would have been more interesting.
I mean,
it would have made a more compelling character.
As opposed to, I'm really bored, I don't want to sit around and watch these things. Okay.
Right. As I think Deadpool says, you know, that what a great MacGuffin. Like the timer for and all that stuff. Like it's just it never amounted to anything. And again, I felt that the stakes weren't too high.
No.
For me. It was quippy and stuff like that, but again, you've got two guys who can't die. In the end, they're told, like, if you try to destroy this thing, like, it'll atomize you and actually destroy you. First, I never once felt like either of them were gonna die. It's like even Hugh Jackman, who has talked about, you know, not wanting to do too many more Wolverines, is like, if he had gone into this, like, I don't think he's gonna die. Like, why would they kill off Wolverine like that after Logan? And then, you know, they do it together and they don't die. I was like, oh well, I'm not really surprised.
Right.
So yeah, they could have figured out a different way to up the stakes. Like maybe maybe the TVA had some way to make them both lose their regeneration powers, and so now they're stuck. And it's like, okay, if you do this, you know, it's like you're mortal now. So you know there would be a sacrifice and something like that. But then maybe somehow the powers come back. I don't know. It just to me it didn't feel like the stakes were too high.
Yeah, a real good story, positive for my part. A couple of them from what I was watching. It was so Cassandra was Charles's twin.
Yes.
So that was great,
Yes.
right? We love that. That's a great idea. Maybe a little far-fetched, but that was a great idea. And when they get Juggernaut's helmet to put on her to stop her from doing all of her crazy stuff, and then she's like, "Ha, I can't fix the problem." I don't remember exactly what it was. She's like, "You can't fix it until you take this helmet off, and then I'm just gonna kill you." That was a great storytelling moment. Was like, if you can first put your characters in that position, but before you do, figure out how you're gonna get them out as a writer.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. Like,
It was good.
Like the helmet, and the other helmet was destroyed, which is great. You take away all these opportunities, so that
you close off all exits.
Close off all the exits to face the bull, which is the conflict. Is like, we have to use this specific helmet. They get the helmet on, but then they.
And the thing too is like they need her to. She's the only one who can get that back.
Yeah.
Which is again another thing. It's like taking the ring to Mordor. It's like you got to take it to the one place that it was created to be destroyed.
Yeah.
But it's in the heart of the place that is being surrounded by everyone who wants it. It's like Cassandra, the most powerful person in the void, is the one person who can get you out. And somehow you need to get there and get her to get you out of there without killing you.
Yeah, so that was great. I really appreciated that. That was good storytelling right there for sure.
I also love seeing all the different Deadpool variants. I loved Nice Pool.
The Deadpool, yeah.
The good, happy Canadian
Baby Pool.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, no,
with his happy dog, the most ugly dog I've ever seen in my life.
I thought that dog was CGI. It was so hideous. Come to find out, it's Britain's ugliest dog.
Yeah.
It's a contest.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so great.
Glorious.
That was a lot of fun. Again, though, you have an issue with. Okay, so this is a comedy, an action comedy. It's a buddy movie, right?
Yes.
It's a road trip. It's a road trip, but it's a buddy comedy. But there's the stakes are like unbelievably low because apparently Happy Pool, isn't that his name?
Nice Pool.
Nice Pool is the only one that could die. But when you have Deadpools and you have Wolverines and they fight, there's no stakes.
Yeah.
They're not gonna die.
They gotta stab each other and no one's gonna get really hurt.
Stabbed and shot, and that literally happened in this movie.
Oh yeah, countless times.
So for fun, it's a great idea. Yeah, in terms of storytelling, if you're going for something a little more dramatic, doesn't really work. But for fun, it's fun.
Right, like
For fun's sake.
the whole fight in the Honda Odyssey, just hilarious. Again, it offered really no forward momentum to the plot at all or the characters.
Right.
It was just a really fun, creative fight to watch them fight through a car and completely destroy it. Like it was a really entertaining fight. And again, that's what most of this movie is supposed to be, is just entertainment value. And they really hit that well.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought that was really well done. I thought the use of Peter was a lot of fun. He's a great character to have around. I thought that worked out really well. So props to them for using Peter as well. The ending, though, was a tough one for me because Wolverine gives this speech about why he should be the one who goes to take apart the Time Ripper because he's got no one. He needs that redemption. And Deadpool, on the other hand, he has to get back to his family and his loved ones. That was the whole idea, is that he would get back to his timeline, save his family, and get back to the ones he loved. So Wolverine lays it all out. It's a clear objective of his. It makes sense that he would go in to do this.
Right.
And then Deadpool spins it, locks him out, and tries to do it himself.
Yeah.
And that bothered me because that's stealing. Deadpool was stealing Wolverine's victory. Now they ended up
And redemption.
in redemption. It's stealing his redemption. You can't do that. Now, yes, he comes in and they do it together, and maybe they just needed to design some extra conflict in there. But it was thievery, so to speak.
So for me, the way I would have fixed that, because I've been thinking about this, because I agree with you. I did think it was kind of cheap that he stole it at the end. I totally could have seen Wolverine Deadpool and Wolverine agree, okay, Wolverine's going to do this. And then you get Deadpool kind of cheering him on, watching. Like, there you go, big guy. I knew you could do it. And he sees him grab. He's like, that looks really painful, but you got it, big boy. Come on, Hugh. and just stuff like that. And then he's trying to grab me. He's like, oh boy, come on, just reach a little further. And then realizes, like, okay, I guess I gotta go help you out and stuff. And then it's like, okay, now Deadpool's actually gonna sacrifice himself. It's like he sees Wolverine can't do it on his own. Wolverine's trying to, get that redemption. And he is, because he's doing it. Deadpool finally sees, like, oh crap, well, you can't do it on your own. I guess I gotta go in and help. And decides, like, he'd rather save his timeline for his friends and family.
Yeah.
And actually makes that sacrifice after seeing that, like, Wolverine needs help, and then they do it together as kind of this big final moment. But then, of course, they survive, and that's it. And I think that could have been a lot more fun way to do it.
That would have been funnier and more meaningful at the same time.
Yep.
It would have been.
Yeah.
It would have had more heart to it. Funny and more heart, as opposed to, I'm going to steal your redemption. Yeah. Oh, now he's going to jump in and help me. Yeah, I like that a lot better.
Yeah, no, that could have been a fun way to do it. Sadly.
Yeah.
It's that one, but
So,
say lovey. So, I mean, that's kind of all we really had on that. Like, overall, what do you think? Like, what about the movie? Do you like it, not like it? Like, what do you think overall?
I think in terms of entertainment value, the movie's really entertaining. Love seeing Elektra back. She looks the same. That's awesome. So there's a lot of entertainment value to it. Sure. In terms of the three Wolverines, again, like you, I think it's the least. I'm sorry. In terms of the Deadpools, there's so many Wolverines and Deadpools. In terms of the Deadpools, this is my least favorite, but I still enjoyed it. And in terms of the storytelling, I think there's definitely some problems that could have been fixed in an easier way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, again, it's the best Marvel movie to come out in a long time since Spider-Man, but it's kind of the weakest of the three Deadpools. And, we did hear about how they did have, things that were shot and filmed for the movie, like stuff with She-Hulk and Captain Marvel that thankfully they didn't put in because they screen tested it. It didn't test great. Disney's like, we want you to have it. And thankfully Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds were like, no, we're not going to do it. And they won. And so, I think it was probably a lot better than if Disney got what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I think with probably the constraints that they had to make this movie, I think they made a great one. And it was a lot of entertaining stuff to watch, but ultimately it didn't compare to the other Deadpool.
And with the TVA, again, I'm going back to that. They could have just solved the time travel problem with Cable's time machine.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to talk about that in our little pitch here. Yeah. All right, so we both did like the movie, but I think rather than doing a sequel to this one, we both kind of agreed we wanted to do another, like a remake and our own version of it, because we had enough differing thoughts that we thought we could have made a slightly better story than what we were given, but still make it Deadpool and Wolverine. So would you like to pitch, please?
Yes. We have it so that Deadpool uses Cable's time-traveling device for an opening montage of him going through history and exacting revenge on some nasty historical characters like Stalin and Hitler and Genghis Khan and something like that.
Yeah. And then so that would kind of be the opening montage sequence like every classic Deadpool, and he would kind of end his world time tour by going to the X-Men time frame kind of in the 80s, is what we were thinking. He wants to join up with the X-Men, and he figured that if he went to an earlier timeline, they might let him in. And in that timeline, mutants are kind of being hunted by the government, and Deadpool quickly finds when he arrives there that he's in a shootout with some of these mutant hunters in the 80s.
So wasting no time, he dismembers them all. And in the process, his travel watch is broken, leaving him stuck in the 80s. Now his goal is to get back home and join the X-Men if possible. Perhaps start the Avengers himself if he has time, so he can be the team leader.
Yeah, why not?
He heads over to Xavier's mansion to give his plan a shot.
Yeah. And so in the meantime, kind of as the B story, we find that Cassandra is also a mutant in this one with crazy powers, and she's kind of stuck in this government lab. When she was born, the government heard about her as a baby, that she kind of did these things, and so they kidnapped her to perform all these experiments on her, and over time they've been working to kind of brainwash her into working for them and use her as the first effective mutant killer. And so after the reports of the fight with Deadpool, the government decides to try out for the first time to have her kill this mutant.
Deadpool makes it to the mansion where he fanboys over all the different mutants there. He makes fun of all of them in some way, as he always does, and eventually his tryout is him fighting Wolverine, who's not impressed with him at all. Xavier tells Deadpool that he's not right for the X-Men, which starts Deadpool on a rant, which is cut short by the arrival of Cassandra.
Yes, she wastes no time whatsoever in attacking Deadpool, and this gets the other X-Men to jump into action because despite not liking him, they're still X-Men. They need to kind of help save the day. And so they all join in fighting Cassandra together, but she, being Cassandra, starts to pick them off one by one. And Charles, after some short time, kind of realizes who Cassandra is and tries to reason with her. He works his way into her mind, trying to break the brainwashing and break through kind of this shell that the government's made up, but it's kind of too much for her and him, and she accidentally kills Charles. This leaves only Deadpool and Wolverine as the last two remaining X-Men, and it kind of breaks Cassandra. She fights the two a little bit, but ends up running away when she can't kill them instantly right then.
All right, on. So Wolverine and Deadpool fight each other again. Wolverine tells Deadpool he killed the X-Men. Deadpool tells him relax, and that he's got a time travel watch so they can use that to go back in time and save everyone. They just need to fix it. Wolverine agrees to help Deadpool and find someone to fix the watch.
Yes, so in the meantime, Cassandra is slowly breaking down from this new revelation that she had a brother and that she just killed him. And so, her government, huh?
Boom.
Yeah, I know, big mind drop. And so her government handlers are trying to get their control back over her, but she definitely snaps, and she decides to turn on them, taking out the lab and all the guards. And in that moment, she decides that she's not going to let anyone torture her, control her anymore, and that she's going to do everything that the government did to her to the world, destroying it in the process.
Wolverine takes Deadpool to Howard Stark, who he met while doing some missions with Captain America back in the war days, bringing some more of the Marvel characters for the fans.
More crossover, baby.
Yeah, Deadpool fanboys again over him, talking about an Avengers X-Men crossover, spoiling some of the future Avengers events to Howard, like where Steve Rogers is, that Bucky is alive, and it's a real tearjerker. Tony discovers time travel decades from now, things like that. Howard is able to fix the watch, but he can only get it to move forward in time, not backwards.
Yes, which leads Deadpool and Wolverine to fight again because it's fun. And Wolverine said, like you said, we could go back in time to fix this. But after they fight a bit more, Deadpool says that they can just go to the future, have someone fix it there, and then come back in time to save all of the X-Men. And that's when a news headline shows Cassandra in DC wreaking complete and total havoc on the people there and on the city. And Deadpool and Wolverine kind of realize that there won't be a future if they don't stop Cassandra right here and right now.
So at this point, it's a road trip movie.
Yes.
And Deadpool and Wolverine travel together to DC. Comedy ensues. Maybe some heartfelt stuff. Maybe another crazy fight or two in the Honda Odyssey, because that was super fun to watch.
Yes.
Maybe destroy some national monuments when they get there, things like that. And they finally make it to DC.
Yeah, and so from there, they go after Cassandra once more, each individually fighting her at first, maybe letting pride take over, I don't know. But they get thrown around like it's nothing, and then they finally decide to work together. I was thinking Deadpool could make like a comment of how it sounds like the ends of Hobbs and Shaw or something like that. Just again, more that meta commentary. And then they work together, and the two of them defeat Cassandra, leaving a ton of destruction in DC, but they do save the day. Despite all the people that died. And then Deadpool and Wolverine use the time travel watch to travel into the future. And then we were thinking, could go one of two ways. Either they get to the future and then the watch breaks again. Mm-hmm. So now Deadpool and Wolverine are back in Deadpool's time, but they have no way of traveling back and forth. And the watch is like dead, unfixable, can't do it. And that would mean that the X-Men in that time were all dead. Or we could end it with they do go back in time to get it fixed again, maybe by Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who fixed it in the first one or in the second one. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just implied that they do go back to save the X-Men to do further X-Men Avengers crossovers in the future.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I like the second one.
Second one? Yeah, we'll go with that.
Because you can still keep some characters.
Exactly, yeah. You can still have your classic X-Men. Yeah. And then do crossovers, which is great.
And that's the end of
Yeah.
our pitch.
That's how we would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening once again. Just remember, these are our thoughts. So we're not saying this is the right way or the wrong way to do the movie. It's just how we would have done it. Maybe you thought it was awesome and didn't need changes, and that's great. Maybe you liked our version. Maybe you have your own thoughts on how it should have gone. Let us know in the comments. We're also on social media, Instagram, all that stuff. Just let us know what you thought and what movies you want us to do next.
And it's always easy to criticize, and we understand that. So we do like to offer these constructive remarks and how to do some changes. But like we always say, they got to make their movie. And in the end, that's what really matters, is that filmmakers get to make their movies. And so we really did enjoy Wolverine. Had a few issues with it, but overall, it was pretty great. So go out there and make your movie. Check out our podcasts.
Yep. If you haven't watched any of the earlier episodes, go check those out.
Yeah.
And we post new ones every Wednesday. So keep your eyes out for the next episode.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.